My name is Miguel Levario. I'm an associate professor of history at Texas Tech University and author of Militarizing the Border When Mexicans Became the Enemy. Between 1944 and 1954, when Operation Wetback went into effect, it was known by some scholars and by the INS as the decade of the wetback. The idea that our borders are being invaded by unauthorized immigrants from Mexico, especially. We also have the dawn of the Cold War. The United States was very much aware or felt that its borders were quite porous, needed to be secure to a degree because of the threat of a nuclear attack. I believe it was the FBI who would give out public service announcements on radios telling people to be vigilant of an unassuming migrant crossing the river in a ragtag suit, in a ragtag suitcase, that don't believe that they're not threatening, that they could actually fit an atomic bomb and threaten our livelihood. And these were public service announcements that they would use. So this idea of vigilance, national security, were definitely on the radar and definitely in the public mindset in the early years of the Cold War. And immigration kind of fell in through that. Border Patrol had started to become more and more formal. They started to become more aggressive in their tactics, setting up roadblocks, doing raids. What we have here is an aggressive and sort of paramilitary approach into deportation and mass deportation, and of course the use of propaganda to address the issue of unauthorized Mexican workers in the United States. Because the Border Patrol agency was so small, they're using local law enforcement. So while they're out there trying to look for undocumented immigrants, what aren't they doing? Their own basic responsibilities of keeping neighborhoods safe, addressing burglaries, murders, whatever it could be. The Operation Wetback was terminated in large part because of cost, in large part because of it just became too taxing on local resources. What we also found out is that regardless of how far you sent them into the interior, within days, sometimes weeks, we're right back in there. It wasn't as successful as the Border Patrol made it out to be, but they had to save face, as it is. And we understand with politics, they didn't solve the issue, obviously, because we've revisited that issue in every decade since the 1920s. Today, our politicians, which I think incorrectly, but our politicians don't separate immigration with national security or even drug smuggling or any kind of smuggling of illicit goods. They kind of lump them all together as if they're all the same thing, which is grossly inaccurate. We're paired with a friendly country. Mexico is not our enemy.